Whether you have a sports team, company, or charitable event and need custom t-shirts, hats, sweaters, or hoodies, ShopTotallyT-shirt.com can help. ShopTotallyT-shirt.com is the best in high-quality items at great affordable prices and top-notch customer service. ShopTotallyT-shirt.com. ShopTotallyT-shirt.com. One more time, ShopTotallyT-shirt.com. Check out DoBack.com. DoBack.com is a coupon and cashback site that has you covered with unbeatable deals. Upgrade your tech game without breaking the bank. Get access to exclusive deals and cashback offers on the latest gadgets and discounted tech. Calling all sports and music fans, score big with deals and cashback offers on the NFL, NHL, and NCAA tickets, as well as upcoming concerts by legendary artists like Def Leppard, Journey, Foo Fighters, Nicki Minaj. Don't miss out on your chance to experience the excitement live with help from DoBack.com. Still searching for that last-minute gift? DoBack.com has you covered. Find amazing deals with cashback offers on gifts for him, for her, or even the kids. Don't wait. Grab the perfect presents right now. Get ready to save and save big and enjoy the ultimate shopping experience. Don't miss out on these incredible deals and cashback offers. Start shopping right now. DoBack.com. That's DoBack.com. One more time, DoBack.com.
Rotella Resale, your premier collectibles, toys, and novelty retailer. Find the best and hard-to-find die-cast vehicles and action figures. Some of the most popular vinyl LPs, Zippo lighters, and comics. Support the best artists with our rock t-shirts and posters. You will find so much more at RotellaResale.com with free shipping on U.S. orders. Use promo code RADIO for 10% off your order. Visit RotellaResale.com. That is RotellaResale.com.
Get your website and software ERP services done right with ModernTech.co, where 100% satisfaction is guaranteed. ModernTech.co, the best place for mobile applications and web apps. ModernTech.co, where you can get your Android and iOS app done on discounted prices and more. ModernTech.co. Also follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Modern Tech LLC and Instagram at BondTechCo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to
the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders.
RCWR Show. Lee Sanders here, a very sick and recovering Lee Sanders with you guys for the week of February 29th, 2024. Happy leap year. For those of you that even celebrate it, for me, I just look at it as a typical day. I was watching the news literally yesterday, and I was watching my local reporters struggle to talk about leap year, how it manifested, essentially why it's necessary, and just the way they were doing the read-ons for it. I could tell they did not know what the hell they were talking about, and I felt so bad for them because they were just in a doozy. And the whole time, guess what followed up after they were done talking about it? Now, if you know a thing or two about directing, structure, production, things of that standpoint, then you're really going to get a chuckle out of this, right? But I'm kind of like that guy when I see certain commercials when a TV show takes a break or there's a sporting event or whatever. I go, yeah, that commercial makes sense because it bleeds into this and then that bleeds into that. Okay, cool. So watching these two news reporters, my local news reporters out here in DC, talk about leap year, and they were struggling over this segment. I mean, they were struggling big time. You know what was the very next segment they went to? They went to the meteorologist. They went to freaking weather. And I'm saying to myself, why couldn't they just have the meteorologist break it down? Because he definitely would have broke it down in such more simpler terms, and it would have been even easier to follow. He would have just, it was hilarious. I loved it. But yeah, I guess as the years have progressed over time, a lot of people have been so excited for leap year because, you know, it only happens every 4 years, apparently. And when you really crunch down the numbers or something like that, something along the lines of time is extended, the calendar time is extended by 44 minutes, some weird, look, I know my place. Your man ain't gonna even try to get into all that. I know my respected lane. I'm gonna stay in my respected lane. Hey, I have been off for the past several days. If you guys been keeping track, the last time I did a show for you all, it was on the week of the 21st. I have not done a show since then. And to let you know just how sick I've been, I've actually been sick since right before that February 21st show. It just got more on a serious decline afterwards. But I have been so out of it that when it came to uploading the show for February 21st, there actually was a huge mix-up. Don't ask me how, but there was. So there was actually a repeat. There's actually a repeat episode. So I couldn't help but actually play the show back because I wanted to get a general idea how I was sounding and compare it to what I'm doing here right now. Try to see if there's a way if I can pull off doing a show and everything. And it turns out, yeah. So if you check your respective feeds, I would highly recommend Spreaker. If you check those respective feeds, the episode has been reflected. So what should be episode number 1080, that is now officially episode 1080. That is good to go, what you will hear. I can't speak for the other feeds as far as iHeart and all those other guys. It's just one of those cases where if you're not on the Spreaker feed, if you're not on the YouTube feed, because I do have a playlist on the YouTube channel now of strictly for the audio podcast. For those that just want the audio version only, you'll have the reflected episode. So, but that's how out of it I've been. I don't know where to even begin because it's definitely when I do not do a show for an extended period of time. I'm not sure how you guys are, especially those of you that have your own respected podcasts and everything, but I know for sure some of my brothers and sisters in the podcasting world, like Mish and Joe, I know when they haven't done it in a good minute, they are kind of out of a loop. For me, I am definitely finding, especially as I get older, you know, the more I spend away from doing the show, especially if I get sick, I have to work twice as hard to get back into the groove of things. And health-wise, I haven't been doing too good. It started off as a COVID scare because I was sweating profusely, aches and pains, body chills. My body felt like it was being stabbed in 1,000 places with sharp needles. It was excruciating. I was frigid cold, and I could be walking around the house with long sleeves, all that on, wearing thermals, and I'm freezing cold. I did a lot of sleeping. If I was not working, I did a lot of sleeping. And the most consecutive I slept was almost 72 hours straight. I BS you not. I would literally wake up, force myself to go use the bathroom so I wouldn't have an accident in the bed, have something to drink. I didn't even want to eat. So I have just, eating wise, I'm being perfectly honest with you guys, and I'm bringing all this up to bring up a very valid point, which is, look, you are responsible for your health. Your employers, nobody else is going to look out for it but you. So you got to stay on top of it. And for me, I did my very best with medicine, over the counter, you name it, emergency packs, just chugging it down, all of that. And the recovery has been excruciating, but a new twist added into the mix. And this may raise a couple of eyebrows. So I don't know what day it was. I mean, it feels like now I've been dealing with this problem for maybe about 3 days, but all of a sudden my gums started hurting and I'm going, what the hell is going on here? So I'm checking my gums in the mirror. I'm going, what's going on here? And the last thing that I can think of is, well, wait a minute. I remember I was trying to floss, but I don't recall anything like really, what the hell? And so I said to my wife, I said, what's going on with the floss? She goes, what do you mean? Well, the floss just feels different. It feels extremely thicker, and it was actually hurting my gums this time. And normally that doesn't happen. And she's like, well, do you think maybe you're pressing down a little too hard as you're flossing? I go, no, I know how they taught me. And, basically when I went for my last dental checkup and all that, because my Invisalign case was extreme. As many of you longtime listeners know, I had serious spacing with my teeth and everything. So when we were going through the whole process, it was okay, this could be an issue, but let's see what happens. We'll deal with it. And we'll see what happens. And luckily, knock on wood, everything worked out perfectly, particularly the gums. And, so my wife is like, you sure that, based on everything, like maybe you just aren't flossing right? I said, no, I'm flossing right. I'm doing it the way that I was taught to do it, with my last several checkups. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, yeah, it's like my gums are hurting. The next thing I know, it looks as though in some areas there's like this scratching, some type of distortion that's going on with my gums. And the last time that I had saw something like that happen was when I was initially going through the Invisalign treatment. It was right before I got treated for my permanent retainers, the ones I have to wear pretty much at night, but then during the daytime, I'm fine. I remember I had somehow scraped my gums as I was brushing because I had brushed too hard. And I was like, oh, damn. And I called my doctor, and my doctor was like, okay, no problem. Yeah, look, what I want you to do, go on Amazon. There's this gel I want you to get. That'll help your gums out. Just put a pea-sized amount on your fingertip and rub it between your gums. That's all you got to do. Do that twice a day for, next 2 weeks or until it's completely resolved. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. So this issue resurfaces again, and I'm going, what the hell is going on? So I'm thinking I've got that gel still in the house. The gel is not in the house. So it has been excruciating pain for me. Good luck trying to find that in stores, because you're not going to be able to find that in stores. It is only available online through Amazon, which is where I have bought it the last go round. For those of you that may be curious what I'm talking about, it's the Piero Sciences AO Provantage Dental Gel with antioxidants. It's a oral gum gel. So you just basically, like I said, take a pea size. Everybody has eaten peas or seen peas before. So you want to put an amount the size of a pea on your fingertip and just rub it in between your gums and everything, and that helps it out. Also on top of that, now look, it gets worse, because that's not the only thing I'm dealing with, folks. Okay? Remember, my face, my mouth, I rely on this. This is my bread and butter. This is, especially since I am trying to break into journalism and all of that, like, this is my bread and butter, so I can't really be playing around with this. But wait, it gets worse. So on top of that, I am noticing like some type of maybe blisters or whatever that's on my upper gum. So like my front teeth and pretty much behind my front teeth, like the upper root of the gum area, almost the open area, there's like some blisters that's going on. And I'm like, what the hell is that about? Now, sometimes I like to brush up around that area, but I'm thinking to myself, okay, is this a case where I went a little too hard again in these areas? Like, what the hell is going on? So a little bit of blood has been coming out the past, I would say, 2 days now. There's been blood. And it's like, what the hell is going on? I'm doing the salt water and all that in between. My tongue, it is a little bit gray. I don't know if that was a result of the 72 hours that I spent where I really wasn't drinking anything. As far as water and all that goes, I wasn't eating. I don't know if that was a case of, right? I've also done a little bit of research where it's something, it could be a COVID tongue. I did not know that this thing even existed. Okay, but there is such a thing as having a COVID tongue. Now, you hear that and it's like, well, wait a minute. If it's a COVID tongue, well, how come when I finally got hit with COVID several months ago, why didn't I get COVID tongue back then? So it's really been weird what's been going on right now. I've been talking with the wifey about it because she works in healthcare, as you longtime listeners know. More specifically, she works in dental care. And she's like, look, we need to get you over here. We need to have you get an appointment. I was supposed to go see them this past Monday. But because I was so sick, I said, let me just take it easy. I don't want to get nobody, whatever this viral code is I got going on. I don't want to get nobody my cooties. So let me just keep my germs to myself until I can get a little bit better. And she's like, yeah, come on in. I'm like, I don't know. I think I need an ENT specialist at this point. Maybe I'll go through my primary health care and I'll see what I can do as far as, and she's like, no, you don't understand. She's like, I get that you want to, see an ENT and everything, but, we can, we're trained to look for, certain things, and no, you actually would be in really good hands with us and everything. It's not just a situation where you got to go to, an ENT specialist, or her exact words to me. She was like, actually for the mouth, it is not an ENT, but either DDS or a general doctor. She's like, if you want to go do a ENT, that's fine, but, we're better trained to help you figure out what's going on. Like, plus we already got a file on you anyway. And you know who you like to be partnered up with when you come up here. So most likely I am going to take her up on that if it does not get better. So we'll see what happens. But that's been what's happening with my health. Yeah. Oh boy. Whole lot of fun. Whole lot of sleeping and just don't ask me how. But on top of that, somehow I've been able to pull off going to work, which has been a drag, let me tell you, because my head feels like it's in the clouds. I feel extremely distracted. I know I have been on the road. I've really limited the amount of time I've been on the road since I'm still feeling under the weather. And I feel extremely distracted being out on the road. I feel... I can't really describe it, but I don't have that focus, that clarity that I normally have when I get behind the wheel. So it got so bad. I know one of the times I was supposed to go to work, I asked my wife to do me a solid and come up to the job and basically shadow me on the way home. Basically, I would follow. When I say, hey, shadow me, terminology there, hey, I'll follow you home, right? That's basically, she knows what I mean when I say shadow me. It's really, hey, let me shadow you, right? Let me be your wingman and make sure that, I get home safely. And yeah, it's been weird. Hell, I had classes today, and just driving for the few minutes that it takes me to drive from the house to the campus, it's like 20 minutes at most, 25 minutes at most. Just that little bit of a stretch. I felt like my brain was going in 1,000 different directions. The fatigue, the tiredness. Yeah. So I hope that things get better. It feels like it's been a slow recovery process, but I will feel a lot better once all of this is just totally squashed. For those of you that are curious, did I give myself a COVID test? Yes, I gave myself a COVID test. It came back negative. But as I did say to my wife, I said, it could take a couple of days for a COVID test positive result to show up. I was like, so I may need to take another COVID test just to make sure everything is, on the up and up. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted, but that's why there's been no shows since, last week and everything. So I am hoping that by putting this out there, I'm not even doing a full-blown episode. I'm just doing a little something just to really test myself and see what I'm capable of doing. And I think for right now, unless otherwise, I'm going to stick to just audio. I know we've got the AEW Revolution pay-per-view that's going to be coming up this Sunday, March 3rd. That is going to be held in North Carolina. It is going to be the Icon Sting's final match. I am looking forward to watching that pay-per-view event specifically for Sting. I am a huge Sting fan. Longtime listeners know this. I had the opportunity of meeting Sting back at AwesomeCon a couple of years back, and he was a delight to be in the presence of. I was in awe. I mean, a very soft-spoken man, very charismatic, very reserved, kind of laid back, but full of energy. Definitely is a conversationalist. You just got to get him on the right talking points and all that. And, you get him on the right topic and he's definitely there with you and everything. But I can't stress it enough, because I know I've been asked from time to time, because I usually do my fair share of meet and greets. Lee, if I decide I want to go do a meet and greet for the first time, or, hey, this guy's coming to my area, what would you say? If you were to bring up the name Sting, I'd say that's money well spent. Now, he may charge, last I saw, I think the Icon Sting was charging somewhere between, I would say $80 for a photo op, $80 for an autograph, and then $160 combo. Even if with the inflation that's going on now, even if it was a case where he were to charge $200, maybe $225, I mean, really pushing it, I would say it's money well spent. You'll have a great experience, great memory, all that good stuff. He signed my gold belt, as some of you guys recall. So I love the Stinger. So I'm looking forward to seeing that pay-per-view. But I gotta say, what the hell was going on with this week's AEW Dynamite? I watched that for the main hook, which was Sting's final Dynamite. And I'm going, oh yeah, I'm definitely in there. No way I was doing a post show, because I was still out of it. By the way, you're going to hear me drink a little bit of water here from time to time. Don't mean no disrespect, but hey, forgive a guy here because I'm struggling with the health here. So I'm trying to drink more water. But the main pitch for Dynamite, I'm going, okay, great. So it's all about Sting's final appearance here on Dynamite. This is really going to set the tone for Revolution. I did not like seeing the Young Bucks all throughout the night going around the arena. They came off like so not heels. They did not come off like bad guys. They came off like freaking comedic chumps. You seen Sting? You seen Sting? Yeah, you see, hey, have you seen Sting? We got something for Sting. Yeah, we got a little bit of tough love we want to give to Sting tonight. And they've got their own little bats and everything. They're going around the arena harassing people. They find his locker room, and man, could you have done any more with Sting's alleged locker room? So you go in Sting's locker room and there's all these bats that's hanging from the ceiling. That's the best that you can think of. That was so non-creative. Now, some of you guys may hear that and go, okay, Lee, how would you have maybe spun that a little bit? What would you have done differently there? I would have had them walk into that locker room and the lights are off. They go in there and maybe Matt says to Nick or vice versa, hey man, let's try to get a light on in here. What the hell is going on? And like nothing is working. And they question, well, what's going on with the backup generator? Like, why isn't anything working? Like, okay, well, turn on your cell phone footage. Or maybe it could have been a case where they go, okay, well, let's use a cigarette lighter, something to that effect. But when they finally do get some type of a light on, that's when you see like maybe this collage of the Young Bucks that's on the wall. And it's just like a compilation of images of the Young Bucks where they've got scratches in their eyes, right? And maybe somehow this, you're right, that sounds really creepy, right? That sounds suspenseful. That sounds engaging, right? I definitely would have had something like that happening in there. And then besides that, I've also would have put some type of weird graffiti on the wall. Okay. Kind of pay a little bit of homage there to Joker Sting. I definitely would have gone in that direction and teased with that a bit. And it was just so uncreative what they did with that locker room joint. And then you're going, okay, well, look, this was obviously bad, but okay, no Sting. Surely the payoff at the end, it's going to be great. All right, so how were we rewarded at the end? We've got the Bucks coming out there. They're still looking for the Stinger. They're thinking that maybe Sting is one of the people in the crowd, apparently, because there was a group of fans that were wearing Sting masks. So they're thinking maybe one of them is the actual Sting. And if not, it just is badass heckling the hell out of them anyway. Turns out one of those fans was Darby Allin. Darby Allin getting a jump on them. But they are just getting the one up on him. Let's drag on now. What is he now? Is he even 80 years old yet? But Ric Flair, they drag him out. And remember the last story arc that we saw of Ric Flair, which went down, was it not just last week, where 75-year-old Ric Flair had appeared in this segment talking to Renee Paquette about how he's not filling the position that he's been in since he's come to AEW. He thought that he would have a much bigger role, and and he's looking to change this because this is beneath him what's currently going on. It's a travesty and all this other blah, 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 yakety smackety stuff, right? And so we see Ric Flair mosey himself on down there as Matt and Nick Jackson are beating the tar out of Darby. And they're looking at Ric Flair. They're high-fiving each other, and Flair finally comes on into the ring, and they're like, yeah, go ahead, get you some. And so now the optics, what originally started off as Ric Flair in Sting's corner, because he wanted to be there for the big send-off for the Icon. Now it appears, Ric Flair, he's in business for himself. That damn Flair. It's always about him, I tell you. It's always about Flair. Okay. We see this 75-year-old man struggle to do a poke to the eyes on one of the Bucks. I forgot what he did with the other one. Maybe it was a punch to the face or whatever. But the slowest freaking offense that I have ever seen in my entire life. And then on top of that, one of the Bucks, and now I laughed my ass off when I saw this spot, but we had this hilarious spot where one of the Bucks gave Ric Flair a low blow, and I'm just going, are we even sure that still works? Like, I don't think he's feeling anything down there at this point. If there was ever a time for Ric Flair to go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, like that would have been the moment right then and there, right? When he gets hit in the groin or whatever, right? So this was just a freaking disaster when it was all said and done. And I so agree with what my buddy John Draper had to say about this particular segment, because I put my thought out there first, before I even read what anybody else was saying. I said, man, hey, look, nice strong segment there for the Stinger, but man, that Ric Flair stuff, that was just woof. I mean, because it was really, 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 really bad, right? I mean, words cannot describe how bad seeing Ric Flair just chuckled on, just trucked on out there and everything. It was really, really bad. And I'm actually trying to see if I can find Drape's comment right now. Yeah, here it is. Sting is probably my favorite wrestler of all time. Right there with you. I've been a fan for so long, it feels weird to think about him never being around in a ring anymore. However, that Ric Flair segment was an embarrassment and a disgrace. My God, it was. Now, look, for the Bucks to play devil's advocate and defend the Bucks a little bit, you're going, hey, it's not every day you get to work with an icon. It's not every day you get to work with someone you maybe idolized. Okay, and to now be in a position where you get to work with them. Hey, wow, that's really, really cool. That's me being devil's advocate a little bit, but, there's a but that's going to come in there. You also have to do it in such a way where, okay, obviously, Father Time, the health issues that Ric Flair has sustained, the fact that he just continues to not give a about drinking. Doctors have advised him to stop drinking, and he just continues to, okay, whatever. Talk about wasted life as far as I'm concerned when so many other people, but that's a different topic for another time. That segment was just absolutely everybody that is involved, including at the very top, Tony Khan. They should be embarrassed. They should be embarrassed that they put that out there of a display as part of the whole package to sell Sting, his final match, AEW Revolution, this pay-per-view that you need to buy. Right? Man, that was just, I'm only imagining how many people might have changed the channel after seeing that whole Ric Flair stuff. I could have personally done without the Ric Flair spot. What they did afterwards, having Sting pretty much come from the ceiling, kind of like vintage WCW days and all that, nice throwback. I love that nice touch that they did at the end. Sting, Darby with bats, having a battle of the bats with the Bucks and everything. That was a nice way to close it out and all that. But I think if anything, the way things probably should have ended with that respected segment, it should have been a case where Bucks are beating the crap out of Darby. Sting has seen enough. He comes down from the Raptors. One Buck tries to take him out, but it's to no avail. He gets into the ring. He starts going to town with the other Buck. Darby tries to come to, but the other Buck that Sting took out gets back into the ring, takes Darby out. Then that same Buck goes behind Sting, low blow, not to the groin, but I'm thinking take a bat to the back of the legs. You have Ric Flair come out. All you need to do is just have Ric Flair standing there at the top of the stage, looking on. Have his hands in his pockets, looking on, and just nodding his head. And you end the night with, oh my God, what happened here? Is this a preview of possibly what we're going to be seeing at Revolution? The fact that Ric Flair, who claimed to be coming here to AEW for the sole purpose of backing Sting, his best friend, for so many decades. And now when Sting needs him the most, Ric Flair is turning a blind eye. Is this a preview of things to come at the pay-per-view? Is Ric Flair really being Ric Flair? Is he really being that selfish son of a right now? And he's not going to do the right thing here and stop the Bucks. That would have been a bigger selling point. By doing what they had did with Dynamite this week, fumbled it again with the Ric Flair stuff. Can't stress that enough. But also, they've practically guaranteed that at the pay-per-view, Sting and Darby will lose those tag titles to the Young Bucks. They have definitely sealed that without a shadow of doubt. So, big old wet fart. Big old wet fart, as far as I'm concerned. Now, in regards to the Chris Jericho match, there was the Chris Jericho, and I want to make sure I pull up that match respectfully here, because I have it in my notes and everything. But with Jericho taking on the Junior, taking on the Son. Let's just dissect that real quick. First off, Jericho has been trying, I guess you could say he's been trying to be a face the past couple of weeks. So all of a sudden he's out there and now he's a heel. As he's a heel that's constantly trying to take off the mask of his opponent here in this matchup. And you're like, what the hell? So we're supposed to boo Jericho now, right? That whole sequence was just so weird for me, right? They crammed in the CMLL footage of Lionheart Chris Jericho. And when he had faced, Atlantis,
You got to say it like that. You got to say it with a nice little twist, little twang to it there, right? When he had faced Atlantis, the Mexican luchador back in the day, you know, like, okay, we get it. Nice video package presentation that they presented and all that. Great mentor, partner, friend, right? And Jericho has requested to have a match with the Sun. Or rather, no, Atlantis Jr. has requested Jericho to, I guess, I don't know who the hell requested it. But either way, we got this match. So much was wrong here, right? The mask we talked about. Even with the history lesson that we were given, there's still very little to care about because you have not spent a couple of weeks building this up for the viewers. You have pretty much just one hot shot at this thing in this one match. That's pretty much how you've essentially done it. Okay? Also, against the kid, against Junior, Atlantis Jr., you know, this went on way too long. Jericho looked as though he was phoning this in. I'm telling you, he looked like he was phoning it in big time, just not even trying. That's how it looked. This was cringe. This was cringe on so many levels. Wasn't a fan of it at all. Was not a fan of it at all. Very weird what you had going on there with that Dynamite. Most of the action throughout the night was, you know, I would say average. To me, it just felt like AEW, okay, we got 2 hours we got to fill here. How we're going to fill it? We got to get to this pay-per-view, man. I tell you, we got to get to this pay-per-view. Okay, well, let's just throw whatever we can put together. And the women's match, that was in a typical spot. But look, Sky Blue and Chris Statlander, for what it was worth, was pretty good. I could have gone without all the hokey dokiness that was happening in there, right? But that final segment, although it was a decent little callback to the past, a little bit of WCW going on, it also felt very TNA-ish to a certain degree. But it just not a good build. Not a good build, because everything that's been happening with Sting, this final drive to Revolution, everything was just, and then you hit this freaking bump in the road that is Ric Flair. And I think that, I won't say it hurt Sting's last match or that it hurt the pay-per-view, but it definitely was deflating, to say the least. So those are my overall thoughts about some of the stuff I saw from Dynamite this week. I gotta tell you, I love the idea of just not talking about everything from that show, because I'm at a point right now where I've spent how many years talking about the AEW product? And now, you know, the quality, like, it has diminished so much that for the love of me, I just don't see how people can get on every single week. I'm sorry, there's not enough super chats in the world for me to, well, everybody's got a price, right? I mean, I'm not taking any jabs at any of my brothers and sisters in the podcasting world, but I see some of you guys with the super chats. So I guess it's paying y'all bills, and yeah, God bless y'all. But I know for me personally, like, I don't see how anybody can freaking do a AEW post show for Dynamite and be like, yeah, this was a really great show. Yeah, this was look, you all know I write the reviews for 401 Mania when it comes to Rampage. I gave my lowest rated score for last Friday's Rampage, which I put it at a 5 out of 10. I said it was a not so good episode. Not one person complained with my review. If anything, they not only agreed, but they hoped that the majority of those who were, the other wrestling websites out there, they were hoping that the majority of their reviews match what I said, because they felt that now more than ever, collectively, all the wrestling websites, the communities need to come together and, when they're doing it right, obviously you want to give them praise, but when they're doing it wrong, you definitely want to be collective and say, this is wrong. And I see that some of my colleagues on the 401 Mania site, I'm not throwing shade their way, I'm not throwing hate their way, but some rated that Rampage a 7 out of 10. And I'm going, look, if you could rate that a 7 out of 10, I'm for the love of me, what would you consider to be a 5 out of 10 based on what you saw from that particular episode? Like, it doesn't get any lower than, for me, I prefer to give it to you right between the eyes. I'm not gonna, let me try to boost this up. And, I don't really want to say anything negative. No. AEW ain't paying me. WWE ain't paying me. Dave Meltzer and them ain't paying me. I ain't being paid by nobody. I'm going to speak on it. So, but hey, look, some people honestly had it. If you enjoyed it, God bless you. If you enjoyed it, God bless you. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that pay-per-view coming up. Some other interesting notes. I did check out Matt Riddle's interview, or at least clips of it, with Ariel Helwani, and he did talk about the incident at the JFK airport. He admitted that he failed WWE wellness tests multiple times, and it wasn't for marijuana, it was for cocaine. Yep, did this during the MMA hour, where he spoke about the incident at the JFK airport back in September of last year, which ultimately put the nail in the coffin for his WWE exit. He addressed everything that had took place and the rumors going back to December of 2022 that he failed multiple drug tests in WWE. So in regards to the JFK airport incident, he said, and I quote, this is going to be really, really off, by the way, but this is how he talks. So you just got to remember that. This is how he talks. What happened there, we had a tour in India. It was a one-day tour. We flew to India and then back from India. We got there, landed, and had a couple of hours at the hotel. Went to the venue, did the show, flew back to the States. On the way back, when you fly, you feel some pressure and stuff. I thought it was just air pressure. I had a really bad ear infection. Then, of course, you add a couple of cocktails on top of that. Then grab the mic. I'm talking some crap. Flights were delayed. It was a perfect storm. At the same time, I feel a lot of people would beat themselves up. At the same time, I look at it, I think it was a sign. I was overworking myself. Maybe I hopped back into things a little too quick. Doing a 4-day tour and going to India for a day and back, it took its toll on me. That kind of took a toll on me. On accusing the Port Authority police officer of sexual assault, he said, and I quote, "I'm not going to go too much into detail with that incident. It was the same trip. I talked to Internal Affairs. I talked to the FBI. I'm not in trouble. I can assure you of that. I'm not going to go into details with the situation because they asked me not to, because unless I want to press charges, and I do not want to press charges." That's how that situation was handled. At the same time, if I wouldn't have had a couple of drinks, I wouldn't have put myself in that situation, and I wouldn't have been there. At the end of the day, I put myself in the situation that I knew I could possibly gotten into trouble. So it's nice to hear him take accountability here for his actions. But notice at the same time, in regards to the Port Authority figure, at the same time, notice right here, and Ariel Helwani in the whole MMA hour, that is a huge, huge following. If there is ever a time to, hey, I want to set the record straight about something, I got to get this off my chest, and your platform, your followers, it's the perfect place for me to get this out in the open. Notice he didn't take this opportunity to apologize to that Port Authority agent. He didn't outright, and I'm surprised that Ariel didn't go there as a journalist, because he is a respected journalist in his own right. He is. I'm surprised he didn't go there, since Riddle opened it. He opened the pathway. Surprised he didn't follow up and say, so yes or no, the assault, it did not happen. And if Riddle just, I can't speak on it, then that kind of tells you all you need to know as far as Riddle feeling, yeah, this guy did do something. Or Ariel following up and saying, okay, so now that time has passed, do you still feel that you were sexually assaulted by the individual in question, right? Any of that. I just thought that was interesting. I don't know if you guys thought that was, but I just thought that was interesting, because I'm watching the clip and I'm just, I was watching various clips, and then I went online to try to watch the entire interview, and I'm just like, interesting. And as far as why he was fired by WWE, saying, I don't think that's the reason I got fired, but I don't think it helps, especially with the UFC merging. It was written in my contract that I was going to make $1 million this upcoming year, guaranteed, which is a lot more than I was making last year and a lot more than I was making the year before that. I think there was multiple variables that played into my departure. Plus, I failed a couple of drug tests. The writing, for me at least, the writing was on the wall. I'm good in the ring and entertaining, but especially with WWE and how they want to be perceived, I don't think I was a good fit at the time. On the failed WWE wellness policy tests, he said that he had 2 offenses. They didn't make any of the offenses public. He thinks that WWE wanted to keep it hush-hush, which he understood. He got fined. And he apparently had 2 cocaine joints in there, as he talked about how WWE handled him going to rehab, saying they can't make you do anything, but it's go or, okay, I'll go. I went for the 30 days. I left. And when I left, they made a recommendation that they wanted me to stay another 30 days. And I was like, I said I would do 30 days. I don't want to do another 30 days. I missed Christmas and New Year's. I learned my lesson. Trust me, I don't go out there and rage it up anymore like that. I learned my lesson. No, we want you to do another 30 days. I wanted to test and get my black belt. I had been waiting 10 years. I had some money because RK Bro was successful, and I wanted to buy a house. I bought a house. My aunt had cancer, so I went to see her. She's good now. I was like, let me do these couple of things before I leave. Okay. I went, did those, then went back for another 30 days. Got out, and I was just waiting. This was a month before WrestleMania. We don't have anything for you. Maybe Raw after Mania. I thought they were going to fire me. And as we all know, there was that period there where it kind of seemed like, where is Riddle? What the hell is going on? But he did eventually resurface. But it didn't last that long, because shortly afterwards, the airport incident at JFK had happened, and that pretty much was it. So, to hear this guy talk about, he accepted some accountability here, but he didn't. The interview for me didn't really paint him in a good light, so to speak. I know that there are those that use marijuana, THC, CBD products. I'm an advocate, supporter of those, especially if it's a case where you are dealing with some form of anxiety, depression, and look, you got to do what you got to do sometimes to self-medicate yourself, especially when it works and you're being kept under close monitoring, right? You're not only monitoring yourself, but your doctor who you're talking to is also, in that same situation as well. By the way, sorry for my kid barking there, but that's what she likes to do when she hears somebody coming to the door and everything. But I just shut the door, by the way. That is the power of pre-recording and the beautiful thing of editing and all that other loveliness that's going on there. But no, you hear a little bit of self-accountability to a certain extent. You also hear look, this is how it is. And hey, was I right for this particular world? Did I belong in this world with my baggage? Probably not, but this company had took their chances on me anyway. But then you got to also flip that back, and you got to say, okay, yeah, hear you loud and clear. Definitely hear you. But do you understand that, you are a 38-year-old man? You just turned 38 because his birthday was January 14th. So you just turned 38. You now have a child that's in the picture. And sooner or later, your child is going to get to a certain age where they're going to hop on Google and they're going to want to learn certain things about their father. And then you're going to have that difficult conversation with that child where you go, oh, wow. Oh, man, I never thought the day would come where my kid would bring me this article, about these allegations, and it's going to be a tough talk, but right. So when do you say, okay, I'm looking to make a change with the man in the mirror? And hopefully Riddle is on that path. I really, really sincerely mean that. I think the man had so much potential, so much freaking potential when they had that whole RK Bro thing going down. I said this on the show a long time ago, which was, if it was not for the Randy Orton injury, I think Randy Orton would have kept Riddle in check, because I believe Orton would have seen a lot of himself in Riddle and how he was when he was running around, doing all his silly little stuff and all that. Back in the day, and been like, okay, and look, I'm not trying to make it seem as though Randy Orton is this old man, because when you compare the ages, Randy is, I think, 5 years younger. No, I'm sorry, 5 years older than Riddle, because Randy Orton is 43, right? And if I just said Riddle is 38. So what's that? 39, 40, 41, 42. Yeah, 5 years older. But Randy has more experience. He's been involved with the business longer and the whole 9 yards, right? Randy would have definitely, I felt, string him in the right direction. But, it's one of those things where we'll never really know, unfortunately. it sucks. It sucks. But I bring all that up to mention this point, which is he had a whole lot of potential in his career. And this is a perfect example of self-destruction. He's got nobody to blame but himself, nor for the record, I'll be devil's advocate here, and I'll say, for the record, he's not blaming anybody. His tone has obviously changed a lot from being bitter and hurt by his release to where he is now, especially now that he has these options where he can either work with an MLW or he can work with a New Japan, or he can, if he wants to, he can even work with a TNA. But let's stop with the rumors right now. If you were to ask me, do I see him eventually coming back to a WWE, even if he is able to clean up his act, I would say, hell nah. That's damaged goods. That is territory that you got no business ever touching, because there are so many hands in the cookie jar of making money. This whole UFC, WWE, TKO, Netflix, and you just got all right. They don't need any more headaches. What they got with Vince McMahon is quite enough. By the way, go out of your way if you want to have a hearty chuckle. Go out of your way and check out the clip of Riddle talking about the Vince McMahon allegations. It is just one of those doozy little things that just, wait a minute, what did I just listen to? Trust me, you'll thank me later. Go out of your way and check it out. You'll thank me later. Meanwhile, Billy Jack Haynes has officially been charged with murder and more in the death of his wife. Previously reported, the Portland wrestling icon and WWE alumni was arrested back on February 8th after Portland police responded to reports of a shooting and found Haynes' wife, Jeanette McCraft, deceased. Haynes refused to cooperate with police officers at the scene and initially did not come out until 2 hours after they arrived. PW Insider has a new update saying that Haynes was charged with murder in the second degree and unlawful use of a weapon on Wednesday. This was upon his release from the hospital. Haynes had been hospitalized following his arrest due to a medical condition unrelated to the homicide. So that is what's going on there. So again, he was arrested immediately following his release, and he is currently being held at the county detention center. So that is what's going on with him. That's just a very sad situation. I know that news had initially broke about the suspected, but I wanted to wait until a little bit more information had came in. And that's just really, really hard to wrap your brain around. It's amazing to me to a certain degree because I watch so many death shows on Investigation Discovery, or that's part of the Investigation Discovery family or Discovery Communications. I watch Killer Couples or Snapped, Deadly Women, Wives with Knives, Who the Bleep Did I Marry, Who the Bleep Did I Kill. I watch all those shows, and I find them so fascinating. Of course, my number one go-to is still Forensic Files. I told her to take off those goddamn black shoes. Look it up on YouTube. Just type in Forensic Files, those damn black shoes. You'll have a hearty laugh. You'll thank me later. Trust me, you'll thank me later. But I can never wrap my brain around stuff like this. How can, and I'll never will understand it. As long as I live, I will never understand this. But how can you hurt the one you love? I'll just never understand that. How can you hurt the one you love, the one that you say you're madly in love with, the one that you say for forever, right? now and forever, until you depart, good times, bad times, right? You make love to this person. You may have kids with this person. How can you end up taking their life? I'll just never, ever understand that, because it should never escalate to that point. If it's gotten to a point where you detest being with that individual, if it gets to a point where you despise being with that individual, if it gets to a point where you begin to loathe that person, if it gets to a point where, to quote one of my favorite lines from a Michael Douglas movie, it isn't happiness to see me, is it? Okay, well, you know what? Before things really just get out of hand, neither one of us wants to be the first to say goodbye, but hey, we got to do what we got to do. So what a sad, but one could make an argument that's been following Billy Jack Haynes, especially as far as his shoot interviews go and all of that, could admit that something has always seemed kind of off about this guy. That's for you older figureheads too, because I wasn't really a Billy Jack. I never was really a Billy Jack Haynes fan, so don't even think. I ain't putting up no front. You ain't gonna get no. Had some passings that went down in the past few days. Ole Anderson passing away at the age of 81. Late start in the 1960s with the AWA promotion, Jim Crockett Promotions. Part of the whole Minnesota Wrecking Crew, Georgia Championship Wrestling. And remember when Vince McMahon Jr., I'm talking about, remember when he bought the majority of GCW, Ole Anderson had went on ahead and said, okay, bump this, because he just wasn't for it. He was pissed about it. He went and started up the Championship Wrestling from Georgia promotion. And of course, with Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, manager J.J. Dillon, the Four Horsemen that formed officially in 1968. Ole got kicked out in 1987 when they brought Lex Luger in, and he pretty much, Ole, I'm talking about, retired from the ring after that. He came back to reform the Horsemen once more in 1989, but retired to be a manager. And then he ended up taking a booking position in WCW. Let's not forget, as far as booking goes, this was a lot of what he had did going back between the GCW promotion and Jim Crockett promotion. So this was a very easy transition for him and everything. There were some infamous moments. Of course, the Shockmaster comes to mind. That happened under Ole's watch. Yeah. Black Scorpion as well. He took over WCW when Bill Watts was fired, but that was very, very short-lived, as Eric Bischoff soon came to power and Ole was out of the company once again. He retired from wrestling altogether after that, 1996. So that was it for him, and it was kind of one of those, the hell is Ole up to? It sucks. No official word on how he passed, like if it was a heart attack, or I know the family had put out a obituary, I believe. They said he passed away comfortably at his home. I believe he was surrounded by family. I know Arn Anderson had put out a statement and everything, and I'm very curious to hear a lot more about what Eric Bischoff has to say, not just about the passing of Ole Anderson, but also about like revisionist history, just going back and looking at when Eric came into power and Ole, like, did Eric try to make things work with Ole? What was Ole's mindset at that point? Was Ole not a fan of the direction WCW was about to embark on? what exactly was Ole's mindset, if Eric can recall, because I know a lot of times there's cobwebs there with Eric Bischoff. I get it. It happens to the best of us and everything, but I'm looking forward to seeing. I haven't seen anything pop up on my feed yet, because usually I get a YouTube notification letting me know about certain new clips available. I haven't seen anything from Bischoff yet, but that doesn't mean that it's not already out there and everything. Another passing to talk about, Virgil. Lonely man Virgil. If there truly is a utopia called an afterlife, I hope that Virgil has his booth, and I hope the line is long as I don't know what for that man right now. I really hope he's getting his flowers right now. Michael Jones, man better known as Virgil in the WWE, Vincent in WCW, passed away at the age of 61. Been battling many, many health issues, as we all, part of the wrestling community, know, including dementia, and not one, but 2 strokes. Now, there was some report that was floating around that he also had cancer. I know you guys remember that, but his sister has debunked those reports, saying no, not true at all. And it's so weird to find out about his passing, because a referee by the name of Mark Charles III was the one to break the news. So you're assuming that this must be a friend of the family or whatnot and everything. But Virgil, a defensive back for the Virginia Union University football team, was a aspiring powerlifter, bodybuilder, who just happened to have a chance encounter with Tony Atlas at a local gym one day. And Tony Atlas told him, yo, you need to take your talent to professional wrestling, man. Your look, man, you'd make some really great money. And he did just that, launching his career with the Championship Wrestling Association in 1985. Jones then went to join the WWE a year later, competed as Virgil until 95. And we all know, I mean, when you think about the $1 Million Man, you think about Virgil. I mean, for me, as a kid growing up, one of the most iconic freaking moments is when the $1 Million Man says, hey, I got all this money here. I got these $100 bills, and I'll give a $100 bill to anybody that thinks they can continue to dribble a basketball. I don't know if you guys remember that. And there's this little kid, and he was doing a fantastic job dribbling this basketball. And Virgil is just standing right there looking on and everything, mean mugging. And Virgil just slaps the basketball out of the kid's hand as he's bouncing it. And $1 Million Man, oh, nice try, kid. Better look next time. And I remember as a kid watching that happen to that kid. Just, my heart was in pieces for that kid. I was mad as hell at Virgil, man. Virgil had some really good moments, though. He did. The feuds with Sergeant Slaughter, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Big Boss Man, even the feud with $1 Million Man. Of course, when Virgil joined WCW as Vincent, and he was repackaged as part of a member of the NWO. Remember the name Vincent, that was a jab at Vince McMahon. I hope many of you all know that. Like, a lot of people don't know that. And then ultimately, Virgil appearing in AEW back in 2020 as Soul Train Jones during an episode of AEW Dynamite. That had so many of us pop, and I know a lot of us were like, yo, Tony Khan, like, they need to do whatever they can to give this man in the twilight years of his life, make it be as peaceful as possible. And, you know, because you just heard about all these messed up stories that was going on with Virgil over the years. I can remember hearing one story where Ted DiBiase had to jump out there and say, yo, if this man, Virgil, Michael Jones, if he's jumping out there saying that there's supposed to be some meet and greet and I'm part of it, like, no, like, he is making these deals on his own. I have nothing to do with these deals. I mean, we were hearing some shady crap. I remember hearing shady stuff off and on over the years that Michael Jones was doing. He would basically try to sell himself as part of a package combo to a lot of vendors out there, that he and Ted DiBiase, they were a package. Like, you couldn't have one without the other. And then basically when it came time for the day of the event or whatever, Virgil would basically just try to show up and collect all the money for himself. And it's like, well, what happened to the $1 Million Man? It's like, I don't know, but either way, you got to pay me, blah, 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 right? He would try some crap like that. And he was building a really, really bad reputation of spreading false information out there. And I know it was something that $1 Million Man had talked about off and on in a few interviews and everything. And of course, the infamous shots that you would see of Virgil when he would do meet and greets. He'd have his nice little 8x10s and all of that set up at his table. Very nice, very neat, and not one person would be in his line. Them damn things could be $10 a pop when nobody be in his lines. Just the saddest goddamn thing that you would see. Virgil was even living on the streets. He was homeless at one point. I mean, this man had some very, very, as far as dark days, trials, tribulations, this man had that and then some. And it was so refreshing to see him in that segment on AEW, because it was like, yo, maybe Tony Khan and them, maybe they'll figure out something comedic they can do with this guy, because he does have good comedic timing. I remember hearing my fair share of podcasts that would try to interview him, and let me tell you something, would be off the rails. Okay? Shit would be off the rails, I'm telling you right now. So, look, he obviously was in a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. Of course, Jones at the infamous 2006 convention, that got him the Lonely Virgil meme. And let me tell you something. I have done my fair share of covering con events as part of the press media. Let me tell you something. I've seen my share of booths. I've seen my share of tables. And the most surprising one in recent memory, I still bring this up to this very day, and my wife always counters with, well, look, we may remember him and he may be a big deal to us, but he really hasn't updated his resume like that in a good minute. And I'm like, yeah, but still, he's da, 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 da. I bull crap you guys not. Okay? I BS you guys not. Believe it or not, a couple of years ago, Lou Ferrigno was at AwesomeCon. And at the time that we went, now you can't say, oh, well, this was an hour before closing, Lee, or, well, this was the last day of AwesomeCon, Lee. It was the last day for the con event, Lee. No. This was day 2 of AwesomeCon. And it was, I would say, 2, maybe 3 hours after doors opened. Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, nobody at his line. Nobody at his line. Now, the way he had his booth set up, you could walk up to him, get an 8x10, and or get a photograph. Man, Lou did not have any love coming his way. There was no love his way. And I know for a fact he was talking to his publicist, because I overheard him saying, what the hell is this? Like, where's the people? And I even heard him say, let's not try to do this event again. So, yeah, I mean, Virgil, Lonely Man Virgil, let me tell you something. There was a Lonely Man Lou Ferrigno that I saw. Yeah, but there was a lot of stuff that was going on there. You got a whole lot of gossips, the urban legends out there, especially the one urban legend that the name Virgil, that basically, the name after Dusty Rhodes, real name Virgil, right? It's like an inside joke that was rumored to be Bobby Heenan's idea, never been confirmed, and is in constant dispute by Bruce Pritchard. I mean, Heenan never talked about it. Like, it's kind of one of those never really will know, right? Never really will know. But yeah, a lot of health issues was going on with that man. I really hope wherever there's a utopia, he's all right. He's all right. And one more passing that we need to talk about. This one, not wrestling related, but definitely entertainment related. And I would be set on fire if I did not mention this, but meant a great deal to me. I consider him to be the man in black, such as Johnny Cash. He was the man in black of comedy. Richard Lewis, one of the stars of Curb Your Enthusiasm, passed away this week at the age of 76. Richard Lewis was a stand-up comic genius who came to fame. He was working his chops in the 70s. And when you look at the amount of people, as far as other comedians, that he was in the comeuppings with back then, I mean, my God, in the 70s, you had Robin Williams running around. You had Richard Belzer. You had frickin' John Belushi, John Candy, George Carlin. And there was like so many people just jockeying left and right, man, for those spots and everything. It was a who's who back then. He passed away this week at the age of 76. The cause of death was a heart attack, according to his publicist, and it was since confirmed by Rolling Stone. Just remember, it was just last year that Lewis was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And at that time, he talked about how he was in really great care under his doctor. Everything's fine. He's enjoying his wife, his dog, and loves his fans. But he's basically just gonna, at this point, retire from stand-up comedy to focus more on writing and acting. And for anybody, even if you were a product child of the 80s, you'll definitely remember going into, ages 9 and up in the, in the mid 80s and up and everything. You'll definitely remember that when it came to the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson or Late Night with David Letterman, if you were making your rounds watching those shows, 9 times out of 10, you saw Richard Lewis on there. I mean, he holds an impressive record for the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He's appeared on that 22 times. Late Night with David Letterman, 44 times. And he kept that tradition going by appearing on Letterman's show. Even after Letterman left NBC to go to CBS, Lewis continued to appear on Letterman's show. And, it was kind of one of those things where, and Lewis has attested to this. He did say this long before he even passed. He credited David Letterman as the one to really help launch his career and everything. You know, pretty much saying, look, if it wasn't for David Letterman, I probably would not be here today and everything. You know, we know about some of his movie appearances, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, Leaving Las Vegas, but I mean, really, you think about Curb Your Enthusiasm, because that's where he got to play a fictionalized, emphasized version of himself, right? And of course, in the late 80s, he starred opposite of Jamie Lee Curtis on the ABC series Anything But Love. I am guilty of that series. I remember watching practically all the episodes, and I thought that the two of them had such great freaking chemistry with one another. I also remember he did this, I think it was called Daddy Dearest. It was a show with Don Knotts, and they tried. They tried, but it's just, nah, man, for the type of self-deprecating humor that Richard Lewis brings to the table every time, and okay, you're trying to make this guy be like this family dad kind of. This was way before Home Improvement. It was really, I wish I could describe it, but this would be like if I were to describe Daddy Dearest, I would say it was like a soft, light alpha version of Home Improvement to a certain degree. Yeah. Go out of your way to look up the outtakes from Daddy Dearest. Knotts realizes the series is really, really bad, because he don't give up. He's just having a field day during the outtakes. Look it up. Some really hilarious stuff. But yeah, that one. Do y'all remember the series of commercials that Richard Lewis used to do in the 90s? As soon as I saw his passing, two things came to mind. Actually, three. One, how's Larry David doing? Because they have been lifelong friends. And I saw the nice tribute that Larry David had gave to him and everything. You know, it was sad what had went down with Lewis towards the end of his life, because he was having surgery after surgery. Like, the weirdest things was going on with him. Look it up if you don't believe me, but he was going through some really, really bad physical injuries that eventually cost him more appearances on the final season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, you know, which he highlighted beforehand and everything. Because, you know, as soon as we heard that series was coming back, one more run, we're going, all right, we're going to get more Richard Lewis. Like, nah, he's only appearing in one episode. You're like, oh, like, what the hell and everything. But, yeah, like, he's done so many commercials, but the one that really stood to mind. So I thought about Larry David. I also thought about, should have had a Boku. And Boku was this drink. It did not pick up. It failed miserably. But there was this drink that was marketed in the U.S. from 1990, and it went until about 2003. It was by the McCain Citrus Incorporated Company. It was sold in a box, and they tried to basically make it be a competitor similar to Minute Maid, to Kool-Aid, to, right? So think in that realm, right? So it's this little juice box. But the way Boku tried to market themselves, they try to market themselves as, hey, as far as our target audience, we're the adult juice, right? We're the adult juice, because juice boxes, when you think about juice boxes, you commonly are thinking about, oh, that's something I'm going to give to my kid. That's something that kids have, that's part of their lunch pack or whatever. Boku, these juice boxes, they were much larger, and so freaking large that omitted was a straw. So instead of a straw, you had like this pull tab, and you would just freaking, you just quench that, right? Quench your thirst, just, right? Freaking hilarious. And they had a series of commercials with Richard Lewis, and he'd be seen standing in front of the camera, holding up a Boku box, and basically talking about how, hey, if I'm at a party and somebody asks me, if I want Pepsi or Sprite, like, I don't want a soda. I don't want a belch. I'm an adult. Like, I shared it on my social media outlets, and it was freaking hilarious. He's like, all I want is a Boku. As a man of the 90s, I have a more sophisticated taste, and I just want my Boku. Is that too much to ask? It's freaking hilarious. Look it up. That is some of the stuff that was around during our time back in the day. I'm honestly surprised it lasted as long as it did. That it lasted from 1990 until 2003. I mean, that's look, Boku might be short-lived, but it had a longer run than Clear Pepsi. I tell you what. Hey, before we get ready to roll out, let's go ahead now and let's look up the card here for AEW Revolution, and let's get into some preview and match predictions here. How many matches we got on the card here? 9 matches. All right, let's go. Chris Jericho versus Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs versus Lance Archer versus Hook versus Brian Cage versus Magnus versus Dante Martin. And that's Magnus the Luchador, not Nick Aldis. For those of you that, this is a all-star scramble match. The winner will receive a future AEW World Championship match. Interesting. Well, if they mean to do this right, and everything, I would say let Wardlow be the one to win this. And maybe a situation occurs where Adam Cole tries to obtain that spot for himself to call for whenever he's ready that match against Samoa Joe, assuming Samoa Joe will come out of it still the winner. I could see Wardlow coming out of this with the win. I'm looking at the other names in here. Hell, I wouldn't even mind seeing Hook. I wouldn't mind seeing Hook Samoa Joe too, but yeah, those are the 2 names I'm homing in on right now. FTR taking on the Blackpool Combat Clubs, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli. I'll go with FTR. Christian Cage defending the TNT Championship against Daniel Garcia. I'm going to go with Daniel Garcia. Eddie Kingston taking on Bryan Danielson, singles match for the Continental Crown Championship. Remember, if Danielson loses, he has to shake Kingston's hand. I am going to go with Bryan Danielson. Timeless Toni Storm defending the Singles Women's Championship. Again, the AEW Women's World Championship. I apologize there. Against Deonna Purrazzo. I don't see Deonna getting the job done here. Not on this night. Toni Storm, Timeless Toni Storm gimmick seems like it has a little bit of life left in it. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Deonna losing here. Samoa Joe defends his AEW World Championship against Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland in a 3-way. Going with Samoa Joe. He's still the hot hand. Orange Cassidy defends the AEW International Championship against Roderick Strong. I'm going to go with new champion crowning Roderick Strong. Sting, Darby Allin taking on the Young Bucks, tornado tag match for the AEW World Tag Titles. Come on, man. I would truly be shocked to see if Sting and Darby go out with a win, but I don't see that happening. I just do not see that happening. Hey, maybe we'll be proven wrong. Wait and see how that goes. But yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the matches that I'm looking at on here, I got to be honest, out of all the matches, like, what am I really excited for? Oh, Will Ospreay taking on Takeshita. That was just added. It was announced on Dynamite. I guess Ospreay. But of all the matches that I'm looking at on here, like, as far as what I'm most excited for, you know what? FTR taking on Blackpool Combat Club, that should really be good. Christian Cage taking on Daniel Garcia, that should be another good one. Kingston, Danielson, that should be pretty damn good as well. No doubt Samoa Joe, Hangman Page, Swerve Strickland, they're going to do fine. That's really it for me. The Sting, I know people are going to say, well, Sting. Like, I don't question that's going to be a solid match. I don't question that whatsoever. What I do question is how exactly are things going to go down? Is it going to be a W for Sting? Or is it going to be right? You just see how WWE had did them. And look, yes, to Tony Khan's credit and everything, they've done Sting right. They've done him right. They've done a better job with him than WWE. You can make the argument that at the end of the day, if Sting loses to the Bucks, hey, at least you can still say, hey, they built him up properly. But then at the same time, see, that's what makes this so interesting. I think what should actually happen, I think Sting and Darby Allin should defeat the Young Bucks. But the Young Bucks then get on the microphone and they try to restart the match. That fails. And so ultimately, what I could see happening is the Bucks get so pissed off that for Heat Magnet, they fire Sting and they basically say, let the record show that Sting and Darby Allin never had. I could see them doing something like that. You can't just have the Bucks get the W over Sting and Darby. You can't have it go down like that. So look out for, hopefully they're thinking outside the box a bit, because they really need to when it comes to that. So we'll see what happens with that. But other than those matches, that's really it. This is just kind of one of those, okay, you know, like, I'm here, but I'm really only here for this. I don't really care about this other stuff. So I say that to say, hopefully this will be a overall surprising event when it's all said and done. We shall see. Will I be with you guys this Sunday for your AEW Revolution post show? I will. Hopefully my mouth will feel a lot better, because I can tell you right now that we've done this test run. My mouth has been in excruciating pain, believe it or not. But I'm going to do my best to recover and figure out what I can do ASAP. And I will be doing that post show, though. Even if I have to be very brief, I'll be doing that post show. Meantime, be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the RCWR Show. Get at me on YouTube, X, Facebook. Use the keywords the RCWR Show. Shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to friends of the show as well, who honestly I think I might need to hit up, because if it's going to be a case where I might be out a little bit longer on these shows, I may need to look into seeing if I can get some substitutes to tag on in and do the shows for a little bit till I get fully healed and recovered. We shall see. But until next go round, my pretty babies, I'm wishing all of you all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. See you all next go round. Take care.
Thanks for listening. An Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive.